Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Multifamily Monday. My name is Jesse Greer and I am the Vice President of Investments in Multifamily here in Northern Nevada at Avison Young. And I'm excited to get back to this again. It looks a little different with masks on. We're post-COVID, but you know what? We're here talking about real estate in Northern Nevada. So today I have a very special guest with me, Jim Rundle. Now Jim is the city planner at the City of Sparks in the Community Services Department, overseeing 5 divisions. So if you want to get something done on the development side, it's going to eventually work its way to you, Jim.
It will, Jesse. Yes. I oversee, as you said, a few divisions here at the City of Sparks, coordinate with a lot of other departments, divisions here, oversee current planning, long-range planning, the housing side, development engineering, and along with the city engineer, we also have code enforcement in there.
Well, you know, it sounds like you wear quite a bit of hats in this office. And how long have you been here at the City of Sparks?
I've been at the City of Sparks for over 20 years.
Fascinating.
Started in 2001 and worked through the boom in the early 2000s. Worked through the recession, a great recession, and now working through another time period which is unique to our area, but I don't think it has a name
yet. And amongst all those years, a couple of years back, you actually won the Professional Planner Award.
I did. I won the Professional Planner Award in 2019.
Fantastic.
It was a real honor for to be recognized as the professional planner for the state of Nevada. It's a statewide award.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Includes Clark County. A lot of stuff going on in Clark County. They have a lot of development down there as well. So it was something I was proud of. You don't apply for it. You're recognized. Someone writes in for you on your work, and you also have to have a few recommendations to accompany that recommendation. So that was was very humbled to receive that award.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
So that means we're sitting down with someone that knows a thing or two about a thing or two, especially about Sparks development. And let's jump into that. And the reason why we're here talking today is because of the significant amount of growth that we are seeing here in Northern Nevada, and the demand specifically. We're going to talk about multifamily, but development in general. Okay, so this series is going to be part of a multi-part series talking to different individuals in different positions that help control, or at least, you know, provide some sort of guidance on the development aspect. Okay, so let's talk about the City of Sparks then real quick. If a developer that isn't familiar with this market wants to come in here, kind of walk us through the process of what they would do coordinating with your department looking at a potential development from maybe a small lot all the way down to a significant multi-building project.
Sure, Jesse, I appreciate that question. I think that this City of Sparks was a little bit groundbreaking in our region. I've noticed City of Reno, Washoe County have copied some of the processes we use. We developed a process quite a while ago called a pre-application. We offer it to anyone. There's no charge for the pre-application opportunity. You come in, you have some site plans, you have some general project narrative, you get a half an hour.
Okay.
You throw your project out there. We have the fire division in there. We have the environmental control division, the building division, engineering, development engineering in there, traffic occasionally is in there, and of course the planning division. And we take a really quick broad brush look at the proposal, and we come up with fatal flaws, or maybe there aren't any fatal flaws. Hey, this looks okay. Here's the process you'd have to go through to do what you're talking about. Or maybe it is a very intense and unique type of project. And we'll say, let's set you up for another meeting. Let's provide for an hour. Let's get the other divisions in here. Bring back some more information on this.
Mm-hmm.
All free, no cost to the person that's desiring this input on their proposal. Sometimes they're in the wrong place for what they want to do, but they don't have to spend a lot of capital figuring that out. They're able to move on to another area without a lot of investment of time and money.
And that's huge. I don't think people realize what Jim just said in regards to the amount of different individuals and different departments coming together, making those recommendations. Because unfortunately with development, a lot of times you have to deal with agencies on a singular basis, which creates an elongation of time and cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll come in and they don't come back where we bring in the fire division and they say, you're going to have to build X, Y, and Z. Geez, we're 6 months in, we're just hearing about that. We try to get those big items right out in front at that original pre-application meeting.
Which I think is very important, because in today's environment where housing is in such high demand, being able to shorten that time frame to get product out there to those individuals that need it most is a high priority.
It's a high priority to our city council and our mayor and our city manager's division, trying to make sure that we represent what the community needs in the city of Sparks.
And it sounds like all heads are really coming together to try to solve this, I don't know if I'd call it crises, but this need that we have in the market right now. So when you look at the amount of housing that we need and you look at what you can do from a public sector, how is the city, or particularly the agency or the different individuals that you talked about, trying to come up with a solution or trying to help provide some sort of value from the public sector side?
Well, the city of Sparks has created a master plan in 1991 that discussed moving out into North Sparks, or the Spanish Springs Valley, out to generally La Posada, we'll say.
Okay.
Additionally, the city has a redevelopment area that includes Victorian Square, where we created master plans for higher intensity development in the Victorian Square area, which we've seen come to fruition, as well as coming to fruition the development in North Sparks, as we call it here.
Yeah.
Those plans were created. Impact fee systems were set up to make sure development ultimately could pay for itself as it came in. It was not a burden on the existing tax base and citizens of the city of Sparks. We have kept to those master plans and comprehensive plans without inside of a few unique changes that need to be done over the course of 30 years. As those developments have come to fruition, we made sure we had a balance of residential and a balance of commercial and employment opportunities to allow for people to live and work potentially in the same proximity.
Yeah.
If you lived in Wingfield Springs in 1998, you didn't get to drive to Home Depot.
That's
in
very
Sparks.
true.
You didn't get to drive to Costco in Sparks. Kohl's was not there. Walmart, some of the smaller places. There's restaurants in the north part of the city now.
Yeah.
That was not there, but yet they were planned for. The land was considered and allowed for. As we move forward in the city of Sparks, we believe that our municipal codes and our master plans provide for consistency and predictability for the developer and the citizens living here. What are the land uses next door to me if I choose to buy this house? Will they remain? For the most part, they have remained with a few changes, and we really look at those changes to identify and ensure they are what we perceive to be in the best interest of the community as a whole.
That's fantastic, and a lot of the projects that you discuss really have changed just the face of Sparks, and it's created this completely new urban environment that's been absolutely amazing. It really has.
Well, we think so. One of our goals is to create that area that's livable. It has some synergy to it. Again, Sparks has become a community where you can live, work, shop, all within different neighborhoods. There was a time, again, where you lived in Sparks, you went to Reno for everything.
Correct.
You needed to buy a pair of tennis shoes. You had to go over to Reno.
Yeah.
And we have created a far more robust community that is not necessarily just a bedroom community to City of Reno.
Now, you mentioned these plans that were set in place that are important for developers coming in because they understand that there's a certain level of infrastructure that's there as well. So let's talk about infrastructure. When you look at the majority of the development that we're seeing in Sparks, it's going to be the North Sparks area, right? It's the greenfield development that we mentioned earlier. That's been master planned since 1991. Now, we're starting to see a lot of this master development start to fill in. At what point in time will sewer or water be an issue for either subsequent developments or future developments as we continue to grow out?
It's a good question, Jesse. And I would say we are seeing a significant amount of development in the north part of the city. We're also seeing a significant part over in the Legends area. Marina Gateway on Prater, we've seen a substantial amount of multifamily residential occur. In our downtown area, a substantial amount occur. The recent multifamily that Jay Witt has constructed in our downtown has been a substantial amount of units. But to your point on infrastructure, the City of Sparks takes great pride in the investment that we have done in planning for infrastructure. For example, we look at the impacts from wastewater versus from sewer. We have taken our master plan that we talked about, the 91 master plan, that encompassed not just the northern part of the city, but the existing parts of the city. We know how much development should occur on every acre in the city, what type of density it should create, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential, how many gallons per day that a typical residence generates in terms of wastewater. We know how big each line is in the city of Sparks. If you come in to do development now, I'll use the New Hug High School. They came in, said we'd like to construct the high school on the former Wild Creek golf course.
Yeah.
We were able to take our computer generated program, identify the size of Wild Creek and where it would create any issues in our sewer system. We identified on York Way, we would have an issue. It would needed to be upgraded to accommodate for the high school. That works for all the development we have in the north part of the city.
Amazing.
So when they come in and they ask to subdivide that piece of land to build the residential units on it, and they come in and say we're going to build 100 units as the master plan said we would do, we run a report and make sure that we can accommodate for it, that the lines are big enough, and we have the capacity at the plant to treat it, and we provide them a will serve letter.
So in regards to, let's say, a piece of dirt that isn't zoned or an existing development that isn't zoned for multifamily, using a hypothetical, and you wanted to go in and potentially rezone that property for, we'll call it maybe a higher and better use for what the land is now versus in 1991. Is that a difficult process to go through, and how would that affect the calculations that you described earlier?
The process may not be difficult to go through. I would think we would make it a process that is consistent and predictable. However, our recommendation may be not along the lines of what the developer would like.
Understood.
We have had some areas that people have requested to bring into the city of Sparks that is not currently in the city of Sparks.
And just to stop you real quick, what you mean by that is annexation, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
Annexation, people considering annexing into the city, and we cannot currently accommodate for it because we do not have a master plan for the area, as I said.
Fascinating.
30-year master plan. We do
Okay.
not have a master plan on the area to ensure that we can provide the necessary infrastructure.
Yeah.
And more so in terms of sewer. We generate sewer and we drain to a river that drains to a terminal lake. It's something unique to the Great Basin. Our rivers don't drain to the ocean.
That is fascinating.
And so we have to be conscious of what we put in the
And that lake being Pyramid, correct?
Pyramid Lake,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And we are conscious of how much we can put into that river. So the issue facing our region is less so potable water. Most people say we don't have the water. We do have quite a bit of water for the area. It's the treatment of the water that we are concerned with in our area.
Yeah. Oh, no. Interesting. So in looking at really what Sparks is overall, we covered quite a bit of topics. And I think the last one, which is just as equally important, is talking about stats on growth, not only past, present, and future, but you've been in this position and you worked with the city of Sparks for quite some time. And as you mentioned, you've seen a lot of growth, a lot of recessionary times, and here we are, growth again. When you look at the growth that we're experiencing now in this market at this time, how different is that from the 2004, 5, and 6 run-up of the last time?
Jesse, the early 2000 growth rate was quite remarkable. I was just starting my career. I was kind of in one of those spots where you come in thinking, well, this is how it is all the time.
Yeah.
You're just a little green, I suppose, and you don't have the wisdom yet that you do over time. And what we had occur then was a substantial amount of planning that occurred. We did a lot of the master plan communities for the north part of the city.
Okay.
Stonebrook was completely master planned in the early 2000s. I think 2004 or 5 was completely done. However, in this last run-up, the last few years, is when we actually saw the development occur. So the planning was done in the early 2000s. Kylie Ranch North, the planning was completed. Sonoma Highlands, the planning was done in 2008.
Yeah.
So a lot of the development we're seeing today was actually planned and completed in the early 2000s.
Which I think is counterintuitive to what a lot of people might say about the growth in Sparks itself. That, they might use the term urban sprawl, right? You might use the term lack of infrastructure growth that coordinates with this market, but really that's not true at all.
We don't believe it's true, and if we were ignoring those things, the state would come in and say, you can't issue a subdivision because you don't have the infrastructure. You have not accommodated for the infrastructure. And so we believe we know we have accommodated for that. We are tracking it. We know exactly the capacity we have to allocate out. And once we hit that finite number, as we come up on that number, we will not wait to get there. But as we come up on it, our staff, our council is having, our mayor is making sure we are looking to the future and How will we provide for additional capacity? Will it be improvements at the treatment plant? Will it be other opportunities for effluent, using effluent on lands that we currently aren't? So those issues are being discussed today. We are aware of it, and we are planning for the future to ensure we can continue to accommodate good growth patterns.
And based on what we're seeing and based upon the amount of developments that are coming out to Sparks, that really speaks for itself. And the amount of developers that are coming out here and are providing that product to this market. Which begs to, pose the next question, I'd say the last question, is when you look at the city of Sparks, how would you compare yourself to other surrounding neighbors in being more development friendly?
Hey, well, we want to see the other municipalities within our county succeed, because as they succeed, we all succeed together. We all work through the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan and ensure we have some type of common goal to make sure as a region we succeed. As for the city of Sparks, to your question, I believe that our city council's direction to craft a new zoning code in 2016, which I did lead up, but it was a very fantastic team effort. We included the development community, we included citizens, our professional staff, and professional planners from around the region. And we developed what we believe is a municipal code that is, again, I used this term earlier, Jesse, but predictable and consistent.
Yeah, which is important.
It is important
Very
to the
important.
developer. They need to get financing on projects, and that can be very difficult to get if the municipal code is saying it has to go to a public hearing, and
Correct.
potentially citizens contest it.
Yes.
We are not necessarily against citizens contesting items. The public process is a fantastic process.
Yes.
And we want to encourage people's First Amendment rights to come in and have their
Absolutely.
voice heard. However, if you have a fuel station and it requires a public hearing, but nothing is ever added in additional to mitigating conditions, potentially it should just be approved by right and have mitigating conditions attached to it.
Correct.
So we have a section of our municipal code that says uses with conditions, and they are allowed to go in by right. And we believe that consistency and predictability really works in the community's favor and in staff's and the developer's favor. Now, if it's something that's unique, by all means, we'll take it through a conditional use permit. We'll notice the neighbors, bring them in. And if it's a change to that master plan we talked about earlier, Jesse, we require them to have a neighborhood meeting, invite all the neighbors within 750 feet at a minimum.
Absolutely.
And they come in and they talk about it, because a change in the master plan is more impactful than an area being master plan commercial, zoned commercial, and then a commercial use coming in on it.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Well, I think this interview was fantastic in the sense that we got a lot of great information today. I really appreciate your time. And let's say, a developer or third-party individual does want to come in and talk to you or your staff about an individual project. How do they go about doing that?
They can call the planning line, 775-353-2300. They can email me, JRUNDLE @cityofsparks.us, and we will get them in touch with the right people. Go on the website. We have planning and zoning as a tab on there.
And there's plenty of resources online as well.
We think so. We are revamping the website to be more user friendly
Excellent.
as well. And there any of those methods, they can call you. You can
They
get
can
them in
call
touch
me as
with
well.
me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jim, well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much. And we look forward to the next interview.
Thank you, Jesse.
a
Thank
great
you
day.
for taking the time to have me today.
Fantastic.